Livinpink here for CyberActiv, and I am here with none other than Evil Genius's Machine. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I did get knocked out, but other than that, I'm doing pretty well, actually, so yeah.
How was your run in the tournament this weekend?
I actually fell. My first match was in the second round. I played FXO ASD, who's like a Code S Terran. Had some okay games against him, made a few mistakes. Obviously, you can't make any mistakes at that high of a level, and ended up losing. But they were decent games. I was all right with it. And then this morning, I had my first match was a ZVT against this like really strong Terran player. I think the name was Livinpink, actually. Yeah, and it was a pretty good series. Yeah. Ended up winning 2-0, but it was really close. Score doesn't really count exactly how close the match was. It was pretty crazy. Yeah.
They should have made us both advance, right?
I know, yeah, totally. Agreed. And then after that, I played a Master Zerg named Spawn. Ended up winning pretty convincingly 2-0 there. And then after that, I played a practice partner, B2B Shu, who's actually started as one of my students at the very beginning of SC2, like even during beta. And he's just, someone who I've kind of grown up practicing with over the past 2 years. And specifically, even before this event, we were probably playing, a good 20, 30 games a week at least. So, we play each other a ton. We both knew each other's style. And we had two 45, 50-minute games somewhere around there where it was just late game. Basically like Broodlord, Corruptor, Infestor versus Mothership, Archon, High Templar, Carrier, Void Ray with Warp Prism Harass. And he ended up getting the best of me, but it was two good games, and I'm pretty excited for it and pretty proud of him. So he definitely deserved to get the win there.
Oh, that's so sweet. You're being so nice about everyone. Like, he totally crushed me, but you're like, yeah, close games. Says the man who's like, has a huge army, and then he just goes back to let me macro just to be nice. Anyway, besides that, we have Heart of the Swarm coming up. So how do you feel about that? Like, when do you stop playing Wings of Liberty, and when do you start playing Heart of the Swarm?
Honestly, I think me playing a lot of Heart of Swarm isn't really going to help my SC2 results, like as far as Wings of Liberty right now. But I intend to switch over immediately. As soon as there's Heart of the Swarm beta, I'm probably going to be spending most of my time practicing on that. I tend to be a player who's I'm pretty good at figuring out games initially. My mechanics aren't quite what they used to be with my older age now, so I'm leaning more towards like the strategy aspect. I've already got some ideas actually, and obviously the beta isn't even out, so I intend to be spending most of my time on Heart of the Swarm, and I really anticipate it, and I really think it's going to be a way for me to jump back into the top level of the sport.
That sounds good. So you think you have an advantage for you think you're going to be able to come up with new strats, and everyone's going to be like, oh
yeah, I have a lot of experience obviously with switching games, coming from Brood War and then playing vanilla before that into SC2, and now Heart of the Swarm. I'm accustomed to being able to jump games and figure out new RTSs, and so yeah, I really think it's going to be a big advantage for me.
That sounds like fun. Yeah. So anything big coming up? What's your next tournament?
Next weekend actually I'll be in PAX in Seattle. That'll be pretty fun. It's obviously not a tournament, but for those of you who are going to be in PAX in Seattle, you'll get to see me. Basically just going to meet up with fans, play some cool games, and enjoy Seattle. Seattle's a place I've always wanted to go to because, as I'm sure you know, I'm a huge coffee fiend. I love my coffee, and a lot of the great coffees actually come from Seattle, so I intend to go up there and actually just drink a ton of coffee, as odd as that sounds. So yeah, really looking forward to going to Seattle with everyone. And there's going to be a lot of EG players there, so it should be pretty fun.
That sounds like fun. I'm jelly.
Yeah, right. It's a free vacation.
So I have another question. So when you started playing, how did your family and friends react? Did they expect it? Was it a big surprise? And how do they feel now after this much time?
Initially, actually, they weren't really for it. I've always kind of been a big like sports junkie. I was definitely, I played football for 7 years, tons of different martial arts, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu. So when they saw me starting to like, stay indoors and sit on my computer all day, they were just like, what are you doing? Get outside, go get some sun, go running, go hang out with your friends. But then the first few tournaments, where I kind of proved, hey, I'm obviously very good at this. I was coming back with, good place finishes and showing that you can actually make a living off of this finally. With the release of SC2, they are all for it. They've been nothing but appreciative and, just following me every step of the way. And, it's great to have family like that.
And when you tell people about what you do for a living, how do they react?
No one believes me, seriously. You wouldn't believe it. Every time I go meet someone new and I tell them I'm a pro gamer, they expect me to be sitting in my mom's basement, with my Xbox playing Call of Duty, yelling at everyone. But it's obviously SC2, the SC2 scene, and specifically EG, is much more professional than that. So I'd have to say initially they're just kind of awestruck and don't really believe it and don't really believe that it can be taken at such a high level or in such a professional manner. But once they really look into it and realize a lot of people really like what I do and they find it intriguing, I guess.
Okay, one last question. Which should be the first one? How did you come up with the username Machine?
It's a really lame story, but basically my father is a machinist and he used to work a machine shop. And basically, when I first started playing SC2, I was helping him run his machine shop, or first started Brood War, rather. And so basically, I would go, for those of you who know what machinists do, I would go load parts, and then I'd come back, and while the parts were being loaded and being cut and so forth, I would just go play a game of StarCraft. And basically, it was his way of getting free labor out of me. And I just thought, being a machinist in a machine shop was pretty cool. And that's just kind of how I picked my ID, I guess.
I like your username. It's pretty awesome. It's cool. It would probably fit more for Terran, though.
I actually was a Terran player. At the very beginning of Brood War, I was a Terran player. Slayer's Boxer was kind of like my idol. And then Machine kind of really does encompass me because, and at least at the start, my mechanics were just so much better than most of the other foreigners. And, that plus the hard work I was able to put in, I was known for putting in way, way more practice games than just about any other foreign pro gamer at the time. And so the name definitely suited me.
Well, thank you very much. Do you have any shout-outs you'd like to do?
Yeah, first off, I'd like to shout out to Girls of StarCraft. This is what this is for, or no?
CyberActiv,
thank you very much. And yeah, I knew that. Also, I'd like to shout out to my family. Obviously, I wouldn't be here without them. My fans, thank you guys very much for following me. Team EG, and I'd like to shout out to my sponsors. Let's see if I can do this one. Raid Call, Intel, Steel Series, Monster Energy Drink, Kingston HyperX, Six Pool Gaming, InWin, and Sapphire. Thank you guys very much. Oh, and Beyond Gaming. Thank you.
That's a lot of sponsor. That's a good job. Anyway, thank you very much, and I hope you have fun at PAX.
Oh, will do. Thank you very much.